Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is absolutely fascinating, but honestly, a little bit unsettling. We're looking at the hidden glitches in human attention. You see, we're going to explore how your biological processor, your brain, actually edits reality before you even get to experience it. We rely on our vision so completely, right? But as you'll see, the way we perceive the world is actually incredibly deceptive. Let's get right into it. Okay, I want you to look around you for just a second. Seriously, just take a quick glance around whatever room you're in right now. It feels like you're seeing everything, doesn't it? Every object, every shadow, every tiny little detail. But what if I told you that your brain is secretly deleting parts of reality every single second? Now, this isn't because you have bad eyesight or you need a new prescription. It's because your brain literally cannot handle everything at once. Some of the absolute most important things right in front of you might be vanishing from your awareness completely, and you wouldn't even have a clue it happened. So, we kind of all grew up with this myth, right? This idea that our eyes work exactly like a video camera. Light comes in, your brain hits record, and boom, you get this perfect high-def replay of reality. Simple enough. Except that's not what happens at all. The reality is that your brain acts as an active filter. Think about it. Your eyes are collecting an enormous amount of data every single second, way more than your brain can actually process. If it tried to analyze every single color, texture, movement, and object all at the exact same time, it would just instantly short circuit. It'd be totally overwhelmed. So what does it do? It filters, it prioritizes, it ignores. You aren't seeing a raw, unfiltered live feed. You're getting a carefully edited version of reality that your brain decided was important enough to show you. To really wrap our heads around just how powerful this filtering process is, we have to look at one of the most famous psychology experiments ever done. It's called the invisible gorilla experiment. Now, participants were given this deceptively simple task. They were told to watch a video of people passing a basketball back and forth. Their only job? Just count the number of passes made by one specific team. Seems super easy, right? Your full attention is totally locked on tracking that ball. But about halfway through the video, something completely wild happens. A person dressed in a full-on gorilla suit walks directly through the middle of the players. The gorilla literally stops, faces the camera, beats its chest, and then just casually walks off screen. So the video ends, and the researchers ask the participants, "Hey, did you notice anything unusual?" And 50%, yep, half. Nearly half of the people insisted there was absolutely no gorilla in that video. Just pause and think about that for a second. 50% of people completely missed a giant gorilla. So what's going on here? Why on earth did half the people miss a literal gorilla? Well, scientists call this phenomenon inattentional blindness. It happens when your intensely focused attention on one specific task causes your brain to just completely ignore another really obvious event happening right in front of your eyes. The folks who missed the gorilla, they weren't, checking their phones or distracted. They didn't have bad eyesight. They missed it because their brains literally filtered the gorilla entirely out of their conscious awareness. They were so dialed in to counting those basketball passes that their brain basically said, "Gorilla, not important right now, delete," all to save processing power. A really great way to understand this is to think of attention as your brain's currency. You only have a strictly limited amount to spend at any given time. Every single conversation you have, every little ping on your phone, a distant sound, or some random movement in your peripheral vision, all of it is aggressively competing for a share of that limited resource. The basic rule of this biological economy is this: when one thing gets more of your attention, something else has to get less. This perfectly explains why you might totally miss a friend waving frantically at you from across the street, or why you might just breeze right past a bright red stop sign while driving. Your eyes were working just fine, but your attention currency? It was already spent somewhere else. Now, this limited currency leads us to another absolutely mind-bending concept, which is change blindness. This is what happens when surprisingly large changes happen in a scene right in front of you, and you just don't notice a single thing. Imagine looking at a photograph. You blink, and in that split second, the picture changes. Do you think you'd spot the difference? Researchers have proven that these changes don't even have to be subtle. Massive things can happen without us noticing. An entire building can disappear from a skyline. A person's shirt can totally change color. There are even these wild experiments where the actual person someone is talking to is secretly replaced by a completely different human being mid-conversation, and a lot of people never even realize it. No way, right? But it's true. And all of this brilliantly shows us exactly how our brain manages the world. It doesn't constantly verify every single tiny detail. Instead, it relies heavily on predictions. Your brain just assumes the world is generally stable, so it fills in the blanks using your past experiences. Before your eyes even fully process what's happening, your brain is already making educated guesses. It's constantly asking, okay, what am I most likely to see next? Now, when those predictions are right, reality feels perfectly smooth. But when those predictions fail, that's when you experience surprise. And sometimes, relying too much on these predictions means you miss reality altogether. Which actually brings us to a specific group of people who have been exploiting this neural glitch for centuries: magicians. You see, magicians don't have supernatural powers. They just deeply understand human attention. Magic is almost never about actually hiding objects. It's about hacking your brain's focus. So while your brain is spending all its attention currency locked onto the magician's right hand, the left hand is pulling off the actual trick. Your eyes are wide open. The whole thing is happening right there in plain sight, but you never see it, not because the object was invisible, but because your attention just never went there. They're literally weaponizing the fact that your brain is predicting and filtering. Okay, so looking at all this, a pretty logical question comes up. Why wouldn't evolution just create a brain that notices everything? I mean, at first glance, missing giant gorillas and disappearing buildings seems like a pretty terrible design flaw for our species, right? Why are we walking around with this massive vulnerability? Well, the answer is actually beautifully simple. It all comes down to survival priorities. You see, noticing absolutely everything in your environment would actually be impossible and honestly highly inefficient. Our early ancestors didn't need to examine every single leaf on every single tree to survive. What they did need to notice instantly was movement. They needed to spot predators hiding in the tall grass, they needed to find food, spot danger, and recognize their friends. Anything beyond those core priorities? Just unnecessary noise. Evolution optimized the human brain for rapid survival, not for perfect perception. Filtering out all that unimportant data made early humans faster, way more efficient, and ultimately much more likely to stay alive. And the craziest part is, that exact same ancient survival software is still running inside your head right this second. But here's the catch. Running ancient survival software in our modern world comes with some very real-world costs. These brain shortcuts, they aren't just fun party tricks or quirky illusions. They have serious, sometimes dangerous consequences. Because of inattentional and change blindness, drivers looking specifically for cars will completely fail to see motorcycles. Highly trained doctors can actually overlook crucial details hidden in complex medical scans because their brains are busy predicting something else entirely. Confident eyewitnesses will vividly remember details of events that literally never happened. Even the absolute most experienced professionals aren't immune to this. The brain's greatest strength, its rapid filtering efficiency, can very quickly become its greatest weakness in our complex, fast-paced modern world. So, what do we do? Can you actually train your attention? Well, the good news is, yes, you can. While we're never going to fully eliminate these human blind spots because, like we said, they're fundamentally baked into our biology, we can definitely reduce them. First things first, slow down. Give your biological processor the time it needs to catch up. Second, try to avoid multitasking. Remember, attention is a limited currency, so don't stretch it too thin. Third, practice mindfulness. Force yourself to really be present in the moment. And finally, actively question your assumptions. The more deliberately and consciously you choose to observe the world, the less your brain has to rely on those automatic predictive shortcuts. You're never going to notice everything, for sure, but by doing this, you're going to notice a whole lot more than you did before. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Are you really seeing everything? Well, in a way, yeah, you're seeing everything your brain thinks you need to see. But the reality is that every single second, your biological processor is editing, predicting, filtering, and simplifying the world around you. It's stripping away details, ignoring distractions, building assumptions, and stitching it all together into this seamless experience that you simply call vision. So the next time you are absolutely 100% certain you saw everything in a situation, maybe take a step back and remember how your brain actually works. Your eyes don't decide what you experience. Your incredibly powerful, slightly glitchy, highly evolved brain does. And sometimes it quietly deletes the most obvious things of all. Never stop questioning what you think you see.